Pompeii left bodies, Akrotiri left none. More than 16 centuries before Vesuvius, Santorini buried a prosperous city so completely that its streets, rooms, and wall paintings survived. Archaeologists found buildings, furniture, storage jars, and tools beneath the pumice, but no human victims in the excavated city. So where did everyone go? The answer begins not with the eruption, but with an earthquake. Akrotiri stood near the southern coast of Thera, the island we now call Santorini. People had occupied this place for roughly 3,000 years before its final destruction. By the late Bronze Age, it had become an outward-looking maritime center connected to Crete and the wider Aegean. Its paved streets ran between tightly packed buildings, rising 2 and sometimes 3 stories. Terracotta pipes and drains carried water through a city whose engineering was hidden inside its walls. Its rooms carried painted lilies, antelopes, fishermen, boxing boys, ships, and distant landscapes. Those images are evidence. Akrotiri's people understood ships, trade, clothing, ritual, and a world beyond their island. This was a Cycladic community with powerful Minoan connections, not an isolated village waiting beneath a volcano. In only about 1.2 excavated hectares, archaeologists have exposed more than 30 public and private buildings. Then the ground moved. A major earthquake struck Akrotiri before the volcanic eruption began. Walls cracked, stairways failed, masonry fell into streets and rooms. Yet the collapsed buildings did not trap the population. No bodies have been recovered beneath that earthquake destruction. The simplest explanation is that the residents had warning, or enough time to get outside. Then comes the detail that changes the story. People came back. They cleared debris from streets and buildings, separating reusable stones from loose earth. They began preparing damaged structures for repair. The city was wounded, but it had not been surrendered. Some wall paintings were completed after earthquake damage, while recovery work continued around them. For a short interval, Akrotiri stood between disasters, damaged, partially restored, and still inhabited by people planning a future. Then they left again. Before the main eruption buried Akrotiri, the settlement appears to have been abandoned for a second time. Heavy furniture, pottery, tools, food vessels, and entire rooms remained behind. People, and many things portable enough to carry, were gone. There is no passenger list, no written warning, and no survivor's account explaining the departure. The famous ship procession fresco shows long oared vessels and coastal settlements linked by the sea. For an island population, boats were the obvious escape route. The painting proves maritime skill. It does not prove where the residents sailed or that the evacuation succeeded. Akrotiri tells us they left the excavated city. Archaeology has not shown us where they arrived. Leaving was not the same as surviving, because the city was only the center of the disaster. The eruption began with pumice and ash rising above Thera and falling across the island. Layer after layer accumulated over streets and roofs. Buildings already weakened by earthquakes failed beneath the growing load. Later, volcanic surges packed around the remains, sealing architecture and objects inside a hardened envelope. Akrotiri was not swallowed by a cinematic river of lava. It was buried, crushed, and preserved by falling volcanic material. Ash and tsunami deposits reached far beyond Thera. Identified victims of the eruption's effects have been found across the Aegean in coastal Anatolia. So the empty streets of Akrotiri cannot prove that the catastrophe killed no one. Even the eruption's exact year remains disputed. Scientific dating and archaeological chronologies still do not align perfectly. What is certain is that the city vanished beneath meters of volcanic debris and was never rebuilt on that spot. For more than 3,000 years, its final evacuation remained frozen beneath the island. Systematic excavation began in 1967 under archaeologist Spiridon Marinatos. Removing the volcanic layers revealed streets, rooms, staircases, drains, vessels, and colors that should not have survived. Plaster casts even recovered the shapes of wooden objects that had decayed inside voids left in the ash. But the excavation recovered no final crowd, no family sheltering together, and no last victim in a doorway. The evidence suggests that warning signs gave Akrotiri's residents time to leave, twice. It cannot tell us whether they found safety, died elsewhere, or joined communities whose records have not survived. Pompeii preserved a city's last day. Akrotiri preserved the moment before it. The greatest mystery is not why the city died. It is what happened to the people who saw death coming. Every power has a last day. Subscribe to the channel to find out what actually killed them.